I am Payton Garrity, and I studied the Grand Diplôme with a Diploma in Culinary Management and Internship pathway, and I am now the Events and Marketing Supervisor for Hedonism Group. I decided on Cordon Bleu London because I have always had an affinity for London. I came a couple times when I was younger and just really loved the city. I was living in New York when COVID happened and was working in live events, so my career options were very limited at the time, and it felt like a really good opportunity to reroute and do something a little bit crazy. I've always been very passionate about food. My brother and I grew up watching the Food Network. We've always been making sort of crazy dishes for our family. It's always been in the back of my mind. And then through COVID, sort of rediscovered that passion and decided, why not? Let's see what I can do with this and see where it can go. And we might as well do it somewhere fun. And I've always wanted to live here, so we applied, we got in, and I wanted to do it to the fullest. If you're going to move to a foreign country to go to school, you might as well do as much school as possible. I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do from there as well, so I said, let's do everything and see what sticks, and that ended up working out very well for me, actually. So that was sort of how we ended up here. Also, Cordon Bleu is just one of the most recognizable names in culinary education, so it's kind of a no-brainer. So obviously, I needed to know how to work in food to then work in food. So I did the Grand Diplôme, which was cuisine and pastry, and then an internship pathway from there, which is what got me into Hyde to begin with. I started my journey as an intern in the kitchen here at Hyde, and from there, then took my sort of education that I received from my diploma in DCM, Diploma in Culinary Management, and took a position 2 months after starting as the purchasing manager. And what that position was doing all of the buying for the food for the kitchen, cost management, wastage management, health and safety enforcement. We had a couple of health inspections during my time. I was one of the 2-point people to coordinate that and be the person on site. Very sort of baseline management position, but had a lot of moving parts that I was able to call back to DCM for. So there was recipe costing that factored into it. There was just general food management. There was general kitchen management. And all of that was the foundation that I then had from DCM. So without my Grand Diplôme, I wouldn't have been able to make it into Hyde in the first place. And then from there, I wouldn't have been able to move up as quickly as I did had I not had the baseline of knowledge that I received from DCM. Fantastic. There are several things that could have acted as roadblocks for me in my career path in London specifically. First and foremost being I am not English. And I was very fortunate through my pathway in the kitchen to receive a sponsorship from Hyde to be able to continue to work in the country. The internship was only 3 months. I was able to, based on my education, make myself very valuable within 2 months of being within the restaurant. And then from there was able to be offered a sponsorship. And Hyde has now been sponsoring me for 2 years, and I have continued to move through the company. So had I not had that background in DCM, I wouldn't have had the confidence to advocate for myself for the position when it became available. And from there, I wouldn't have been able to add value to the company and make it to the position that I'm in today. So even though I'm in the events and marketing space now, which is more so based on my background prior to going to culinary school, I was able to create that position out for myself because of trust and work that I had done based on my education that I had received prior to coming here. So very grateful for doing the courses that I did do because they all kind of lined me up perfectly to be where I am now. Yeah. Yeah, option-wise, I always thought that it would be incredibly valuable to have work experience. I know that there is not necessarily a stigma of culinary school within the industry, but this idea that it's great that you have a culinary degree, but what wealth of experience do you have in an actual kitchen? So I always knew from day one that if I was going to get this education that I needed to apply it, and I wanted to apply it in the most efficient way possible, which is obviously at the standard of a Michelin restaurant. Cordon Bleu, with our internship program, has so many strong relationships with very recognizable names in fine dining across England, Europe, the US. I saw that as, again, like a no-brainer. Of course, I wouldn't eliminate that as an option for myself. So even just the names within London, you had 1 stars, 2 stars, you had luxury hotels. It was a very difficult list to refine down, but I'm very happy with where I picked, obviously. I'm still within the company today. I have lots of friends from my program as well who are still working within the companies or at the restaurant that they went to for their internship. I have friends who have taken their internship. My friend who came to Hyde with me actually for her internship is now at the French Laundry, which is a 3-star. So it really is just a springboard for your career, whether you want to be a chef or not. Obviously, I've opted to get out of the kitchen, but a lot of people have opted to stay in. And whichever way you look at it, it's been incredibly valuable for all of us. And we can always say now that we've had that experience within a kitchen and we know what we're talking about, more so than if we'd only been in the classroom. So incredibly valuable. I'd say yes, absolutely, 100%, go for it. I would not have been able to stay in the country had I not done my internship. It was the gateway to me being able to have my sponsorship, create my life here. And that's just one instance. I can't even imagine, had I stayed the chef course, where it could have gotten me now. I mean, I can't imagine because I have references of people that I have worked with, gone to school with, that are just in incredible places now. When you look at it as 3 months of your life that can then set you up for whatever you want to do, I don't see why you wouldn't do it, honestly. You're welcome to go stage and try to get a job wherever else you want, but I would think that you'd want the foundation, and Cordon Bleu is offering it to you in a very accessible package, so easy choice. So with culinary management, there are obviously so many different courses you can go. I know people from my course who are now opening their own restaurants. I know people who aren't necessarily actively applying it in their position, but with me, I was a chef. I had no intention of staying in the UK. I was going to move home and try to get a job in New York somewhere. And this position in culinary management became available 2 months in. And it isn't even something that I had considered for myself, but reading the job description as an intern who'd only been there for 2 months, I went, I know how to do everything on this list. I'm qualified because of this 3-month crash course to handle every facet of this position. And I put myself up for it, I advocated for it, and I was able to back it up within the first couple months. So I got through my probation very easily, and I was constantly referring back to things that I had learned through DCM. So it was incredibly valuable to me, and I didn't even know why it was valuable while I was learning it, which is crazy. So highly recommend it. You never know when you're going to have the opportunity to apply those skills and apply that knowledge, and I can't see any route that you would take within the industry where it wouldn't be valuable. So yeah, very, very strongly recommend DCM.